Even by his biggest critics, Glenn Thrush today writes, he has never been as entrenched in an issue and a project, in this case a recovery and rescue, like this.
So no member of Congress can do what the President of the United States can do in reaching out to both parties to be able to say, this is a national crisis. We as a country need to pull together for fellow citizens who are suffering and to lower the rhetoric.
By the way, Chris Christie has an excuse. He was saying all this to justify him hugging President Obama in the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy. Whereas the New York Times wrote this piece praising Trump's alleged call for unity, even though that's not what he did, most likely just to butter him up so they can maintain their unfettered access to the administration. Why else would this piece feature statements like, in announcing his trips, he used the dulcet, reassuring, and uplifting language of prior presidents. His rhetoric was strikingly different from his much criticized pronouncements at a news conference this month when he equated the actions of leftist protesters in Charlottesville with the violent, torch-yielding alt-right activists who hurled anti-Semitic and racist epithets, which I'm assuming is praising Trump for not saying black looters need to get shot for trying to save their lives or something. I mean, Trump optics commentary is largely redundant at this point, but since the New York Times thinks what Trump is doing is presidential, let's talk about it for a second. One of the first fucking things normal presidential Trump said when he landed was,
"What a crowd, what a turnout."
I want to shout out to Hurricane Harvey for gathering this many people here today. Also, shout out to Joel Osteen. Big church, big beautiful church, opens the doors to everybody.
I mean, to claim that Trump is being presidential simply because he's toned down his Twitter presence and sticking to the media outlets used by his predecessors is next level sycophantic horseshit. Especially when Trump's description of Harvey ranged from, "Whoa, look at all this rain," to "rain so big it's like Texas." He literally said that.
Still pouring, still a lot of rain. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. I've heard the words epic, I've heard historic.
And what's doubly messed up about the New York Times approach is when you consider that Trump knew very well the hurricane would take over the news cycle, which is why he used it as an opportunity to pardon Joe Arpaio, the most racist sheriff in America, for indiscriminately targeting Latinos and putting them in tent cities he famously called concentration camps.
I already have a concentration camp. It's called Tent City.
And I assume Trump was also extra presidential when he used the chaos to push his insane transgender ban that even his generals aren't on board with, that will cost taxpayers way more to enact, even though we were told it was necessary for financial reasons. And look, I don't really care that Trump spared us the photo op that every president and presidential hopeful engages in by hugging actual victims. We all know he's too much of an elitist to actually engage with the unwashed masses. Let's be real. I also don't give a shit that Melania looked like a distant elitist asshole in her stilettos walking into a disaster zone. Yes, the Trumps were there, and now they're gone, because Trump is literally hitting the campaign trail once again. This was just a pit stop for him to sell fucking $40 hats. But you know, that was also presidential because at least it didn't say MAGA, it said USA on them. I don't care about any of this, but what I do care about is how Republicans are moving in Congress to cut $1 billion in relief funding to fund Trump's stupid, unrealistic Mexico border wall. Trump just waved, thanked the crowd, and pushed onward to Missouri to talk about something he and his wealthy benefactors actually give a shit about: tax cuts.
By reducing the crushing tax burden on our companies and on our workers.
So yeah, this guy isn't even trying to appease his base with the notable exceptions of tasteless water carrying for Nazis, and you're all trying your goddamn best to call him presidential as if some New York Times stamped return to normalcy will undo the lasting damage this tyrannical, narcissistic neocon is doing from the bully pulpit. At least we should be glad we're not celebrating him for putting more troops in Afghanistan or bombing the shit out of Syria or Yemen or something. But I guess this isn't surprising, since the extremely logical elitists that write these think pieces are the same ones who kept calling Trump a fucking populist and conveniently ignored or attacked Bernie Sanders, an actual populist. And to be honest, sometimes I can't help but feel like the press deserves it. The New York Times does amazing work and is more important than ever right now. And in the past 24 hours, they've published a series of garbage fires that I would rate from tasteless to uniquely dangerous, starting with a less serious cultural appropriation is dope hot take, followed by Trump is being presidential after Harvey moment, and ending with the supremely fucked Eric Prince op-ed on why we must wage wars with mercenaries instead of troops. Because the privatization of death has been really fucking successful thus far. Let's just colonize the Middle East, fuck it. In the end of the day, what's happening in Houston is absolutely awful, and my heart is with the good people of Texas. But don't mistake Trump stopping by for a hot second as giving the proper care and attention Houston deserves. It's just another pit stop on his campaign trail where he'll be promoting bullshit that doesn't actually help anyone making less than $250,000 a year. He's only there to shill his stupid fucking hats. I'm Hassan Piker. Please don't forget to share this video with your friends if you think the presidential bar keeps getting lower and lower. Don't forget to to follow me on Instagram at Hassan D. Piker and on Twitter at Hassan the Hun. And this has been The Breakdown.